Joining us now is Senator Bill Cassidy. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are y'all?
Good. Before we get to the Go Mesa funding, I want to let you know we do a cooking segment every Friday on this show, and you've got an open invitation to come in and make that roof or your jambalaya anytime you want to.
And my wife said, "You don't make a roof for a jambalaya, stupid."
I was picturing Laura giving you the elbow in the ribs figuratively as you said it.
Yeah. So anyway, we're going to make a trip to the Ascension Parish Jambalaya Festival. We're going to see how they really do
Well,
it.
and you'll enjoy that. $82 million. Now we're talking some real money here. Tell us about this.
Yeah. So the Gulf, when oil and gas is developed in the Outer Continental Shelf, that's federal land, but obviously it's off the coast of Louisiana. We get a share of that revenue, splitting it between Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, but we get the bigger share of it. We use that money to restore our coastline. We just the federal government just cut a check for over $80 million for our state to rebuild our coastline. It's good for us. We need more of it, but it's a great start.
Who is administering this money? Does it have to go through the governor's office, for example, or is this being administered by Corps of Engineers? Is it dedicated? Because so many times these funds go through so many hands. Who gets the money?
16 million of it goes to the coastal parishes, which includes Livingston.
Okay.
Folks forget that Livingston is a coastal parish. But the rest of it goes through the governor's office. By our state's constitution, it has to be used for coastal restoration. So going through the governor's office, it's been spent on these projects that have been approved to restore our coastline.
Now, 85 million is a lot of money, but when you're talking about applying it to coastal resto, that money can be spent up pretty fast. Any idea what the intent is? What's going to be spent on?
We have a list of priorities, and it will be used to match federal dollars going for various projects, and it's just the first tranche of money. We have the BP oil spill money. We have capital outlay that periodically comes from the state. I worked in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act bill to raise the cap, so there will actually be more money coming through the Go Mesa in a couple of years, more than we would otherwise have received. So our state just continues to pull from every fund to try and get the $500 million that we need to do the whole plan.
Senator, is this structured so that there will be, maybe not in increments of 82, 85 million, but where there will be continuing Go Mesa fundings from all the offshore production from now in perpetuity, or is this a 5-year plan? Because I know there's more coming. Your folks told me about that.
Yeah, it's coming every year. And in 20 and 21, there was going to be a dip because, or put it this way, right now we have a little bit of a dip. When Obama put in the moratorium, there was less activity, so therefore there's less royalty. But we were able to get a provision in so that in 20 and 21, there will be a bump up in the cap to make up for that which we're losing now. So we're doing whatever we can to get as many dollars as possible.
Well, that sounds like a good, and the folks here in Baton Rouge who have a budget to wrestle with can actually figure that in as ongoing revenue as opposed to one-time money?
It's ongoing revenue, but again, it's dedicated. It has to be used for coastal restoration. From my mind, that's a great thing. If we don't restore our coastline, I-10 is going to be the new beach. So we have to focus on that.
Absolutely. Senator, if you got a couple more minutes, we have a few more questions about Go Mesa and a couple of other items of interest in Washington, but we need to check our traffic. If you will be willing to stay with us for about 2.5 minutes, we'll be back on D.C.
Yes,
Current,
sir.
brought to you by LABI. Senator Bill Cassidy, our guest.
AM Baton Rouge at 6:45. It's D.C. Current to look at what's going on in Washington, D.C., and our guest this morning is Senator Bill Cassidy. Thanks for staying with us, sir.
Yes, sir.
The Go Mesa money is terrific news, particularly people who want to make sure that we, as you put it, don't have that beach at I-10 in 20 years. You made a statement yesterday, I guess it was right before Tom Shedler made his resignation, that you had evaluated it, and with all the allegations, you thought it was time for him to resign, and he has done so. I need to ask, is this difficult for Senator Bill Cassidy, the man, to come out and publicly say, you know, this is what needs to happen?
Well, a couple things. Tom Shedler, I like Tom Shedler, and obviously this is kind of a middle-aged crazy thing, but I'm sorry that this has come to this. I'm very sorry for the woman who's affected. She should not have to have put up with this. So whatever my friendship with Tom, she should not have had to put up with this. And at some point, you weigh the balance of evidence, and the balance of evidence comes down in one direction. So and at this point, it appears as if it has occurred. I'm so sorry for her. I'm so sorry for all people who have to put up with such, and just a tragic situation.
Well, it should not have happened. And you know, we've always gotten very good information with Tom on elections and all that. He was on this program frequently, and we too feel bad for the victim, but also feel bad for whatever caused him to come to this point. But moving on to what's going on in Washington, in the Senate right now, have we finally gotten a rhythm where we've gotten some Democrats that are seeing the light of the day and working with y'all a little bit better?
On some things, yes. On other things, absolutely not. Healthcare premiums are going to rise, unfortunately. Obamacare is imploding. And Republicans have put up bills in which Democrats have helped to write, but now they're voting against the bills they helped to write. And I think they are hoping that if Obamacare implodes, Republicans will be blamed, not Democrats. And so they're not cooperating, which is a little bit, I mean, to say it's disappointing, it's disappointing because people are going to be paying 20 to 40% higher premiums, and it's because a fix that could have been done is not being done for political purposes. On the other thing, there's other things that we are working well on. Opioids, big issue. I'm very involved in what do we do about the opioid epidemic, and we're getting good cooperation between both parties on coming up with solutions for opioids.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of fingers pointed at the Senate just for, things moving very slowly, and they look to the leadership with Senator McConnell. Does it look like some of that gridlock is going to start to break up a little bit in the Senate?
Well, some things will. For example, appointments. The gridlock, again, I'm sorry to point fingers, but Democrats have been insisting on 30 hours of debate for every person put up for a judgeship, for example. Terry Doty, guy in Monroe, fantastic. We had 30 hours of debate. Not 1 minute was spent about speaking about Terry Doty, and he ends up winning like 96-2. So it was just a delaying tactic to keep other things from being considered. The left hates Donald Trump so much that whatever could be done to defeat his agenda, including chewing up time that could otherwise be used to discuss policy, that's been their tactic. At some point, McConnell said, listen, if you do it anymore, we're going to change the rules, and that'll be for your disadvantage. Now they're cooperating, so at least we're getting folks through.
Well, that is an update. Again, we always are glad to have you on the program with us, and this Go Mesa money, this $82 million, is going to be great for our coastline. We know you got to go, but we do thank you, Senator Bill Cassidy, joining us today for D.C. Current. Don't be such a stranger, Senator.
Hey, man, thank you both.
We'll talk again soon, I hope.
Mm-hmm.